Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, has sent out a plea to the island's Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, on behalf of the future generations of St. Lucia. During a press conference on Thursday, Pierre questioned the source of the PM's income to fund his recently announced projects for development of the island. He said although Prime Minister Chasney has made it clear that he has no intentions to listen to the narrative of the opposition, he is begging him nonetheless. Pierre went on to say that whilst he's not saying that the PM is planning to use money from the National Insurance Corporation, NIC, he is asking him to not even consider going that route to boost his political chances of winning the next general election.
I sincerely hope that the Prime Minister does not intend to use NIC funds for these kinds of investments. Because I'll tell you something, there is an accurate report on the NIC, and I ask you to have a read at it. Because you see, the NIC may appear now to be very liquid, but the NIC is not for us, not even for you. The NIC is for the young people of this country. The NIC is pensions for the people who are still in primary school and still in infant school and in kindergarten. So it may appear that the NIC is very liquid. The NIC is not. And I'm saying to the Prime Minister, please, in your desperation to try to win elections, do not use the people's NIC money for investments in private sector projects unless there is full transparency.
Pierre said he's asking this because he sees a dangerous trend in the making. He also made an appeal to the board of the NIC.
What's happening now? 3 years have gone, and there have been no projects. We only hear about projects. There's not been one new hotel room built in the country for 3 years. Now we hear about 15 hotels going on 100 acres of land. That's the latest. That's the project he said he had $100 million for. To build 15 hotels, to build one big one, to build a shopping center and cinemas. That's the Prime Minister's idea of development in Beaufort. I'm saying to him, in that desperation, do not use the people's NIC funds. And I'm saying to the board members of the NIC, please, I'm not saying they are, please be careful.
That was leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre. The top brass of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is shedding light on a number of homicide cases which have dominated the headlines over the past few years. The head officers are also expressing hope to finally minimize the number of cold cases from the past 2 decades. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
The heads of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force have opened up about cold cases, as well as given updates on a few other cases which have remained in the headlines over the past few years. Whilst they revealed the number of cases that have gone cold over the past 2 decades, they say progress is being made to make that number smaller. Whilst Commissioner of Police Severin Marchery gave an update into the ongoing case of Oliver Goba, who was killed in April 2014, Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for operations, Wayne Shalry, gave an update on the force's strategy to address cold cases.
We are working along with the British authorities, and they've provided assistance. We've sent up our officers. We've had mutual legal assistance document provided and all of these things. So we have gotten assistance, and we are continuing to get assistance from the British authorities.
We have done tremendous progress in that regard. The possibility exists that we may get funding from a non-governmental organization to help us. Thus far, we have done the analysis in terms of the cold cases we want to look at, and so far for the period 2000 to 2018, we're looking at 319 cold cases. Okay, of that, predominantly the victims would have been male. We're looking at 25 females, and the balance would be males. Most of the victims met demise through the use of firearms, and that is why it's a cold case. Normally when firearms are used, there's less evidence left at the scene. Witnesses would see little, as opposed to sharp instruments, sharp objects. But I am very much happy and excited on the way forward with the cold cases.
Shalry touched upon the case of 66-year-old Robert Hathaway, who was killed on the 13th of January. The ACP said Hathaway's case is still very much active.
Bob Hathaway certainly has a heartbeat. Okay. Presently, we were waiting some requests that we've made, reference to various leads.
In the case of Kimberly De Leon, who was killed on the night of October 29, 2018, Shalry said her case has been comprehensively investigated. He said the investigation cannot and will not be rushed, as they want to ensure that the case has its best chance at justice in a court of law.
Presently, the investigative process is at a stage where very soon we believe that we can engage the DPP for advice on the way forward, reference to the evidence we've collated.
Shalry said with reference to cold cases, they are very much where they need to be in terms of progress. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The beginning of any journey is just as important as the end point. With that in mind, the Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations, in collaboration with the Organization of American States, launched the OAS Early Childhood Development Standard Sensitization Project. The aim of the project is to strengthen the early childhood development sector with a focus on quality development. Solange Alfred tells us more.
Looking to establish a set standard within the early childhood sector was the main focus of an early childhood conference held on Monday, June 24th at the Finance Administrative Center. The launch was attended by key stakeholders in the education sector. The government of St. Lucia launched the OAS Early Childhood Development Standard Sensitization Project with an aim to move towards a more quality-assured development of the early childhood sector, says Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Department of Education, Kendall Kodra.
I'm very pleased to declare the official launch of the OAS Development Cooperation Fund project that we are undertaking. And for those of you who do not know, the amount of funding, grant funding that we receive through this project is $83,000. And a lot of the groundwork has started even prior to the funds coming in. And you would have heard of the regulations that are currently before the Attorney General's chambers. But notwithstanding, there are a number of activities or initiatives that the Department of Education is undertaking, because we have recognized, yes, we have recognized that we must place a greater emphasis, and our thrust is now moving in that direction. For a number of years, this sector, along with the special education sector, had been, I think, I do not want to say it, but neglected to a certain extent. But we marginalized. But we are now placing great emphasis on these two areas, the special education needs and also the early childhood education sector.
Partners for the project include the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, and Seneca College, among others. Representative for Seneca College, Terry Kelly, highlighted the benefits of the international collaboration with Seneca College and St. Lucia.
We said how wonderful it was to have these fresh international eyes hold a mirror to us. And they acknowledged our strengths, but they also made us see ourselves in new light. They made us look carefully at ourselves. What are our weaknesses? What are our challenges? Wow, are we wasteful with our resources and disrespectful to our materials? We take so much for granted. And that was pointed out to us by the St. Lucians, and we're grateful for that. Having a mirror held to you is really important. And then the other thing that was so great was just to see the joy of learning and the passion for early childhood education and development that is shared by both of our countries.
This project is being praised as a key step forward for the education sector and simultaneously works towards helping the island reach its commitment for its sustainable development goals of inclusivity, quality, and universal early childhood education. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Representatives of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, paid a courtesy visit to the Director General of the OECS, Dr. Didicus Jules, on Thursday, the 27th of June. The delegation included several members of JICA. The meeting focused on familiarizing the OECS with JICA's regional presence in 3 key areas of infrastructure and technical cooperation, including disaster prevention, environmental protection, and fisheries. These areas are anchored within JICA's broad framework to support the socio-economic development, recovery, and economic stability of developing countries of the OECS through the provision of grant aid and technical assistance. It was also an opportunity for the OECS Commission to introduce key elements of its strategic priorities, including its comprehensive and robust news intelligence platform, which forms part of the organization's communication strategy. The OECS Commission affirmed its interest in establishing a structured relationship with JICA and deepening technical collaboration that will redound to the sustained benefits in the OECS member states. In this regard, the parties agreed to formalize this engagement through a memorandum of understanding to be signed in the short term. This is the Hot 793 News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.